Hello and welcome to this episode of There Be Dragons. I am your Dungeon Master Matthew. Let's go round the table, introduce the players and the characters that they play. To my right is...
I am Angela and I'm playing Abella.
I'm Keren and I play your friendly neighbourhood dragonborn Rhylind Westfall.
I'm Josh Walker and I play Skairn Fellspar.
It's me, Tristan, and I play Charlie.
And I'm Tom. I run the microphones and I play Nezor.
So, where we left you last, you were all sat about in Castellan's dining room, having been invited to a meal that was a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit too quiet, a little bit stilted. That is until Nezor had decided to draw strings and play a song, which attracted the attention of the commander of the Red Shields, Castellan's boss, Jarl Bjorn Davidson, which, given his propensity for staying on what seems to be an 11 out of 10 at all times, had encouraged him to make himself known to you by walking in, sweeping up his daughter, and declaring that Castellan had brought him minstrels. Scared, you have just stood up and cried out that you, in fact, are the one that has brought minstrels, and he has turned all of his attention to you.
And I respond in Illic. My name is Skairn, mein friend. I hear great tales of your valor.
He breaks into a big toothy grin and says,
Even in the South they have heard of me. I am Jarl Bjorn Davidson of the Red Shield.
That you are, and mighty are your stories, sir. Yes, my friends and I bring you a minstrel. He is one of our party. I apologize. I possibly overstated a little bit. We did not bring him. It was actually Castellan that brought him, but he is a friend of ours.
Castellan has bridged a hand in front of his face and is sort of like pinching the top of his nose and just watching this exchange.
Charlie's doing the same, but he's sort of like hunched over with his hands on his thighs, like, "Oh, this is great!"
Oh, please!
I'm just
can Nezor be
smiling.
stuffing different meats?
No, I'm too busy.
No, he's
I'm too
playing.
busy playing. That's the problem.
He's the fucking
I did
minstrel that
get
we're all talking about.
some food. But
Bjorn leans over and picks up the entire lamb shank
And I
just starts eating.
I say to Nezor, my friend, you know that one that we were talking about when we were with the death thing, the death-themed one.
Yep.
Yeah, can you play that song? You know that one?
seeing that you're taking a request, Bjorn just cuts right over the top of Skairn and says,
You there, little man. Do you know 10,000 blades, 10,000 women?
I can give it my best shot.
Oh, it takes me back. I only got to 47 myself.
Blades or you know what? I don't care.
Can't it be both?
Like at the same, I'm almost.
That's the point. It's after
I'm
one
impressed
after
with your
another.
synchronicity at this
You've
point.
you did not grow up in the north. You don't understand.
At this point, Castellan just puts both hands on the table and stands up and goes, Commander, how goes the final holdout? To which, very, very, casually, as he's chewing on this lamb, goes,
Oh, we will burn them out. Worry not.
Burn who out?
The remaining warriors, of course. They are all holed up in some building. They do not fight with honor, so they die in the flames.
Castellan goes white and just gets up and leaves.
Good.
Castellan doesn't seem to be on board with that plan. That's weird.
My-
Are you on the same team or something or whatever?
My Jarl. Good Jarl. Perhaps a different... May I propose a different method? I don't want to burn down a nice building in a nice town that you've captured.
There are too many buildings here. I could stand to see one or two of them burn.
That's towns for you. Cities, buildings.
it's-
What?
We will pick the spoils from the ruins.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that northern building structures are, it's more spread out. It's Australia compared to inner London. So he would say, Skairn would go, I know what you mean. Everybody living on top of each other. It's gross. But they do like their buildings. Perhaps my companions and I could go in and possibly talk them out?
There is no need. We traded words they would not surrender to a quick death.
Okay.
I tried.
I didn't try very hard, and I feel like this guy and I could be friends.
He looks over at Charlie and goes,
You are a very large man. I respect that.
Charlie will sort of like walk over and shake his hand like,
Ah, such a grip, such a strong arm.
And you immediately notice he is applying pressure to the grip.
yeah, sure.
And he's just
like,
locking your arm.
Charlie does the same thing, like a firm, like respectfully firm.
Yep.
Charlie Roughhouse.
I would give 10 of my best men to have one of your size at my side. Charlie Strongarm.
Good name.
Strong name.
Strong hand.
And you, little elfling.
Hello.
I see you are eating at my table.
Yeah, I stopped from your table.
At Castellan's a request.
It's very inviting.
You have a charming daughter, Jarl.
She is the pride of my loins, the apple of my eye, the blade at my side. Why, if anything were to happen to her.
And then he goes very quiet, very still, and it's like barely repressed anger just flashes across his face.
But surely no one would dare.
You're right there, Jarl. You look like you're having an embolism or something.
He actually does. Like he's like,
There's a vein in his
Yeah.
forehead. So don't worry, nothing actually is happening to her. She seems very safe.
Look, she's right there.
Charlie would have sort of like shoot Duchess over so they could go play, so she didn't have to watch like
oh yeah.
Angry Dad, like. So they're off.
If anything happened to her, I'd probably die. Of anger.
Like anything happened to her, I'd probably burn this whole place to the ground.
So how did you get from way up there to here, out of curiosity?
I took a boat from the north and battled my way through many different fields of honor. I am from Slenskos. Do you know of this place?
Well, that sounds like a place.
Yes, a beautiful Slenskos, flame of the north. Many glorious raids against the Erhart.
Oh, good.
Many glorious raids against the vampire kin.
And the Bashano?
Oh, the elf kin are too far south. But the riches I am seeing here. If I return to Sledskos, they will know of many glorious places to raid.
They're too soft.
Ever raided Lanadlots?
Bjorn seems a little surprised at that name.
What is loss? Cursed dogs. Breaker host to their Jarl.
What?
They failed to heed my call when I summoned them.
True
Is he-
what?
okay, hang on. So can I...
Yeah.
Do I know of this dude?
Roll me a history
I should
check.
know him. Not great. That's a 3.
You know,
But, like, logically, I would know him. That's if he's the guy my lord went to.
you haven't been home in a while. You know what Slenskos is, though.
Yeah.
It's a settlement much further to the south of Lanadlos, which, like most Illic settlements, they've had feuds with.
I'm playing it cool, though. I can't imagine them turning you down. Why?
I will deal with them in time. I am now a Jarl of many tribes. What think you of my warriors?
A strong force.
They ain't.
Your wizards seem very powerful as well.
I have only one alderman. His name is Lariat. He is a puny man, and I have beaten him many
I
times for his
approve
influence.
of this.
And we also approve of that. He's irritating, but very powerful.
He seems a bit dubious about that.
Well, no, magically powerful, not physically powerful. He's physically useless and weak.
Yes, this we agree on. So, tribute.
And he looks at you all expectantly. You're pretty certain he's treating this meal like he would a traditional Illic meal where people would come to pay fealty to their liege.
And what would that normally entail?
Just gifts. Usually the gift would imply the kind of relationship that your clan would have with them. A meager offering was often seen as like you want me to stay in line, we're going to have a bit of a duel. Or if it was like too much of an offering, it was usually like, no, you are definitely the guy who's in charge, boss. And if it was just we'll give you something on par, it was sort of we are on standing, but we are ceding the leadership role, if you will, to you. Sort of like a peers thing. It's a bit contextual.
Okay.
Well, Skairn, as leader of the group, you're in charge of that.
He is your leader? I thought you were the leader at Strongarm. You are the biggest of them. This makes sense.
Oh, no.
It's more of a communal thing,
it's-
sort of.
He likes to take the lead. And he's aware of your culture. I'm not.
I would fell any who dared to think themselves above me, their Jarl. But Castellan is much like this. He brings the gold to my coffers, so I indulge him in his little moods.
Can I tell what would be a suitable gift?
Maybe something nice to drink, possibly a piece of finely wrought, like scrimshaw work, possibly something. You get the impression that he is doing what Jarls often do, which is shop and go, give me things.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily expecting you. It's more about the gesture than the actual gift itself. If it has if you're like, this was my father's, that's like my father's smoking pipe or something like that. Like that would have probably more significance.
I produce from my pouch a glass eye. And I say, Jarl, when the last great fight I had, we brought, and I say I mean this group, we brought down a mighty dragonborn. This huge creature, some 10 feet tall, red of scale and very fierce to fight. Fortunately was brought low by a different kind of dragon, actually, interestingly enough. But the brute had a glass eye. I took this from him as a trophy, and it has been a treasured possession. I now grant it to you.
He takes it, looks at it, and brings it to his eye.
I see you! This is a fine gift, and your story comes with much valor.
And he just collapses into the chair, which creaks under his weight.
Come, entertain your Jarl. Tell me stories.
Charlie here has many stories of valor, do you not, Mr. Roughhouse?
I'm sitting there playing hand puppets with Mary going, huh?
Yes, tell me of the mightiest foe you have slain, strong arm.
So I don't really...
Bested.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I was undefeated in the King's League, hard boxing.
He narrows his eyes when you mention Kingers.
Is this a Jarl?
He's...
Jarl of Jarls.
He's... Yes. He runs everything.
He'd know the king. He works for the guy. Really?
As you said, Castellan's the one who brings us the gold.
Come now, strong arm. Tell me of the warrior you drove to the ground in shame.
Oh.
Charlie's sort of remembering, so he's got a look on his face of oh, yes, that one. No, he wasn't much of a challenge. Oh, no, not him either.
Who was the first man you fought? Your first bout?
Oh, actually. I mean, the first man I fought, I was 16, and he would have actually been in his late 30s. Well, yes, didn't do too well against me, I'm afraid. Left with 2 teeth and a pretty swollen face.
Like missing or total?
No, total.
Yes. Yes, no, that was actually my first fight. My father wasn't too pleased, but...
Why not?
You southerners have strange ideas about Valour. My father would have given me the finest ale from his stores, were he not slain when I was 3. But I ripped the throat out of the men who slay my father so, and thus he was avenged.
Rightly so.
Is that normal where you come from? Do people just tear each other's throat out?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like Roadhouse.
It's like Roadhouse.
Yes, like Roadhouse.
Yeah, it's like Roadhouse.
Little elf, you are very quick to judge others' valor, and not so quick to speak of your own. Tell me a story, little elf.
Oh. Well, no, this is a good one. Once, I don't really have a whole fight. I more kind of help people win theirs. Because as you say, I'm very small and enemies are generally very large.
Yes, you are very small. I could crush you in one hand. Watch the life bleed from your eyes.
He lifts up this massive meat of a paw.
She might even enjoy it.
I don't think I would. I don't think I
That
would.
was so incredibly gross. There's children in the room, Skairn.
Once we were fighting off these magical enemies, and I was on top of a
weird.
bookshelf. They were very weird. And I took my sword, and I leapt off the bookshelf, did a flip, and beheaded one of them.
A beheading! I love it!
Oh, Nezor, tell him about how you ran up Rhylind.
What is a Rhylind?
As a friend of ours, she is not here.
The little man ran up a woman.
A
Very large
dragonborn.
woman.
A large dragonborn. She was a commander in the Earhart military. And when we were fighting some constructs, it's like an enchanted, again, the weird. There's a lot of our business focuses there. He ran up this dragonborn spine and stabs the thing in the eye socket.
Ah, you took their eye. Yes,
It's a
good.
neat little maneuver.
Playing along music with this
Yeah.
and like.
He is handy with more than just his fingers.
These stories please me. You have all pleased your Jarl.
He stands up and he goes,
And now we fight.
Yes!
Who will face your Jarl in single combat?
I'll go for this. Yeah.
Come, then we shall find a circle of order.
Ooh, yeah. This is presumably a tradition that I am familiar with.
Yes.
I'm assuming wrestling.
it's closer to a bar brawl.
Yep.
Generally, it
Yep.
starts in a circle, and the circle
I
kind
tap
of-
Charlie on the shoulder, on the upper bicep as we walk out. I say, "You're gonna love this." And I look at Bjorn, think to myself, and I think I might enjoy this too.
I will have it known that I've secreted away bits of meat for Nezor, because I know he can't.
Does the little girl come too?
Yes, she is very excited. Dad's gonna kill someone!
There's no moon door here, my dear. So I was in this, Tawny Demos.
Never heard of this place.
It's not a great place. The whores are good, but if you're not into that scene, it's mainly pirate den. I was with a whaling ship at the time. It's how I got my moniker. So this dude, he was not happy about my face or the way I was talking to his wife. I'm not sure. I wasn't listening.
Totally understandable. Right.
But he was wearing this ridiculous three-cornered hat. One of those silly triangular hat things.
I quite like those hats.
Well, this one was too large for his head. Sort of, it stuck out as in it made him difficult to get through doors. on you, perhaps it would have looked sensible, but on him, he was too small, scrawny man. Anyway, I throttled him with it. If you're talking about my favorite way to kill somebody, is his own hat.
It sure isn't a harpoon, is it?
Well, no, I'm terrible with those. We've established that.
You're on a whaling.
Bjorn cracks his knuckle and goes,
My favorite way is to split their skull with my axe.
And then, as though to demonstrate, he just hurls this remaining piece of lamb leg at the wall. It sinks in with the knuckle first, and then he turns and looks at you all, very pleased with himself, showing his prowess. He then gestures with his hand, turns, and stomps out of the room. You all follow, and he takes you out to the threshold of that manse. And as you step outside, you realize that the cool of night has fallen. You can see in front of you arrayed around on the front lawn, possibly about 100 soldiers, all camped around either cook fires or standing in small groups with food, with drinks. You can see where the fighting pit has been arranged over in the corner, and then you notice that none of them are really talking to each other. They're all staring up at the sky, and it takes you a moment to realize why. There is a glorious sky-spanning aurora present in the night sky. Its green and blue light is mesmerizing the crowd. Even Bjorn is silent, having seen this, and you can actually hear him whisper to himself.
Even the gods smile upon me.
Which gods?
Well, he's predominantly referring to the twins.
Words don't do it justice. It's not normal for this. I don't know who's near me at the moment.
Skairn would be interested in Nezor's response.
Yeah.
Actually.
Nezor is very, very surprised to see this, and then very surprised at how hyper magical, his experience with magic. So seeing this is that's not magic, that's something else.
Skairn would say, well, yeah, it don't normally happen this far south. It's odd. Pretty, no?
Right, that's the lights.
There probably would have been illustrations on textbooks, but they don't really capture what this looks like.
Because I'm like, this is great, but it's our fault.
That would probably be what Josh would think as well. I don't necessarily know that Skairn is that smart, but that was my inference when I made a deal of this.
Well, look, it's not harming anything and it's real pretty, so.
Can I get from all of you a perception check?
Nat 20.
Fuck it.
Oh, Oh.
25 total, nat 19.
17.
Everyone's rolling really good. I'm glad you're getting these rolls out of the way now.
8. 25.
Very nice.
14.
Anyone who rolled over 15 will notice this. Those...
Rude. Well, excuse you.
Well, you're probably just shocked by it, and maybe that feeling of sadness is really kind of just stopping you from putting this together. These lights, they are actually moving across the night sky.
Okay, but so like
a
it's
group of
not.
them traveling?
Yeah, like ripples almost. Nezor would immediately pick this up. They are moving away from the direction of Areem.
Huh.
You've seen like ropes, high tensile ropes snap and how they snake away.
Yeah.
That's the impression you get from this.
Man, I was going to hit you if you said wings. Cool. Okay.
Wings?
Yeah, just going back to dragons. So, cool. So I'm going to kind of lean over to Skairn and be like, they're moving.
No,
like,
they don't normally do that.
They don't normally do that, and that's...
But they're doing a lot of things they don't normally do.
Sure, but they're moving in the direction we've come from and are going. That's away from Areem.
Yeah. Could I insight for Skairn to see whether or not he would associate what we did in Areem with
Yeah.
16?
Yeah, that's enough for you to pick that.
Yeah. Skairn would say, given the effects of our actions in Areem on the sky. My magical sense has always been a little off. Do you want to have a sort of a tingle about...
I can... I don't even know what I might be able to pick up from that far away. Let's do an Arcana check.
Effect.
Do this at disadvantage.
That's a 3 and a
Good start.
6. No, 9. 3 plus... Where's my Arcana? So a 6.
You wouldn't even know where to start with this.
Yeah.
Does it appear harmful or like is it problematic?
Just ambient.
It's fucking weird.
It is very
How
weird.
fast is it moving?
Actually quite fast across the sky. It's about 10 minutes. The ambient light starts to fade.
Not even before the light show finishes disappearing, the murmuring crowd of soldiers return to their carousing and revelry.
And it's at this point that Bjorn goes,
The gods show us their favor. Let us make this fight one for the sagas.
Bjorn shoves his way through the crowd to a circle of men that have given a wide berth to a fight that's in progress.
and these two dudes just shirts off, beating the crap out of each other. It's more like a mixed martial arts almost than an actual like pugilistic bout.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how Charlie feels about that, but it's certainly not the Queen's rules. He turns to the two of you and goes,
Which of you warriors will face me in combat?
Well, I'm up for it, but Charlie, you're the unarmed combat specialist.
I am. That's why I would be concerned that it might be a bit unfair.
I like you, strong arm. No fear, no cowardice. You will be a worthy opponent.
and he just walks over to the ring and just pushes people out of it. Doesn't even like that side of the head gone.
Charlie takes the ruffled shirt, and it's got press studs. Pops it open,
This is a Bruce Almighty reveal.
pops it open, throws it to Skairn, unclips his big old suspenders, and passes those to Skairn.
So while you do this, you see Bjorn push his way through the crowd, and then after like the first 5 people whose heads he just sort of maneuvers so they are no longer in his way, people start to clear a path. And the 2 people who are fighting are just so engrossed.
Hope not.
No, engorged.
They're so engorged with the combat lust. No.
Just anger.
Yeah.
You can be engorged with anger. I've had an angry boner.
I don't think there's
Rage boner.
I don't think there's an emotion alive that I haven't had a boner for.
Sadness boner, despair boner, happiness boner.
Fusion boner?
The boner.
Apathy boner. No, I feel like it's morally impossible to have an apathy boner. I'm so apathetic!
And so turgid.
Ragingly apathetic.
So, I'll wait for you to
Swollen with my apathy.
get it out of your system. And then...
I think Drax could be ragingly apathetic.
Yeah. So he goes over to these 2 combatants who are just totally engrossed in their fight. And he looks at both of them, and then he just punches one on the head, and the guy just goes down.
And Skairn and maybe some of the others go, yeah!
And then he takes his many axes off and takes his coat off, much like you. This man is a mess of scars and tattoos. Skairn, you'd recognize them, actually. They're berserker tattoos.
What's the theme? Snakes or wolves?
They are
Eagles?
predominantly badgers.
Badgers?
Yes.
Of course they are.
Excellent.
Is there no snakes at all?
Snake! Oh my god, it's a
No
snake.
snakes. No, just badgers.
That's because he's wearing pants. You can't see his snake. It's an anaconda.
And a mushroom on each scrote.
No, he's got a snake tattoo on his arm.
Yeah, no, he's got a giant nose.
He works in
I
a
would have thought it'd be an eagle with the wings down the thighs, so when you do this, it flaps.
No, a lot of these scars. A lot of these scars.
An eagle with a trunk.
Jesus, I'm going to wait for you to finish.
No, an eagle holding a snake in its claws.
Yeah. It's an eagle holding a snake in its mouth.
And the snake's holding a pair of
He
pins.
doesn't get naked. He's still
Why
wearing.
not? This is the land and lost tradition.
Nah. Okay, it is.
What?
Yeah, no, he
It's
gets naked.
very manly. It's very heterosexual.
Someone get the grease!
Does he actually have tattoos on his junk? Because
No,
I'm
he has
comment on
tattoos.
He's wearing pants.
No, he
Holy
gets naked.
shit.
He gets naked. Matt just
No.
said.
I was
wearing
talking
pants.
bullshit. He doesn't have to. I think
No,
let's
let
keep
him
it
get
PG.
naked.
Let's keep it PG.
Ah.
You've already seen a
You
cock
want to
and a butt.
imaginary see the dude's junk? Just talk him
Yes.
up later. I'm pretty sure the missus isn't here.
So he has a badger rampant on his back. You know, have you seen those pictures of like the wolves eating the sun?
Yeah.
It's that sort of motif. Please get it.
It's just a Norse myth. He's like, and then Fenry the badger god will eat the sun in the last days of Ragnarok.
I mean, I'd prefer to fuck with a wolf than a badger.
So he has taken his shirt off and thrown his axes to the side and turns and looks at you and gestures both hands out to either side of him and sort of does like a come at me.
How far away is the the ring?
30 foot.
Do I know the traditions of this? Would it be considered poor form to, for example, dash punch?
No, it wouldn't be. What it would be considered poor form was if after the Jarl divested himself of weapons for it to suddenly go to weapons.
Okay.
So this is clearly meant to be a fisticuff. It's not meant to be a to the
No,
death.
no. I'm just like, if Charlie needs to know anything, does Skairn know anything?
Do you
that
want to
Charlie-
be his ringside manager?
I would just be like, just sort of I work his shoulders up a little bit and say, don't do anything not cool. It goes really badly when you do that.
I'm like, I basically.
I don't expect that you will. I just...
When he does that, I go, a sucker punch is allowed.
Yeah, totally. But just don't kill him, all right?
Okay. And Charlie sort of will stretch.
I'm absolutely just gonna quietly move off to the side.
Yeah, no magic.
What? You don't want bardic inspiration?
No. That's cheating. Is Key cheating?
Would bardic inspiration be considered cheating? If anyone could spot it?
If anyone could spot it, there would be an uproar.
Yeah.
But that would be an Illic society because the Ottoman don't get involved.
Yeah.
Well, while I see Nezor considering this, I'm just going to be like, Nezor, look at all this meat I got you.
Thanks, Abella.
Welcome to for a rainy day.
I wasn't sure if I should wink at you before when Skairn said things about fingers, but, I'll appreciate the food now.
Like, give him a thumbs up.
Okay, Charlie, you hear from the other side of the ring.
Strong arm! I am waiting to play with you!
Also, we're not going to roll for initiative. Charlie, you are going to go first. Bjorn is literally just waiting for you to show him what you've got.
Is he at the far end of
Yes.
the ring?
Yes.
Cool. So, right in front of him and throw my first attack. That's not good. That's a 12.
That does not hit.
Bjorn ducks, weaving out of the way. His eyes are sparkling with excitement.
That's fine. Second attack of the first action. So 19. So that's a 27 to hit.
Absolutely.
So that's 10 points of damage. Give me a Constitution save while you're there.
Cool. What's the DC?
So that'll be a 16.
He fails.
Brilliant. So he's stunned.
Okay.
So basically, Charlie dashes right up and throws an incredibly obvious punch which is the punch that misses towards the sides of his head. So as he ducks down, he doesn't see the uppercut that he was hiding with his body, and he rings that bell. So he's stunned, which means, well, because I attacked him, he can't make any reactions. Because he's stunned, he can't do anything.
He actually can't move. He can speak only falteringly.
Yep.
He automatically fails strength and dexterity saving throws now.
Yep.
And attack rolls against him now have advantage.
Yes.
He's incapacitated for this round, so it's your turn again. But he is like clutching at his face.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll then make my next attack. 16 on the dice plus 8 again, so 24.
That hits.
Brilliant. That's a 6 on the dice. So 11 points of damage.
Cool. Roll your second attack.
16 again plus 8.
Yeah, that hits.
So that's 8 points of damage.
Okay.
So the first one was 11, the second one was 8.
Yep.
Make that strength save.
Yeah, he
which you
doesn't.
fail, which means he is pushed 15 feet out of the ring away from me.
Yep.
So I ring that bell, and then when he's sort of dazed, another one will catch him in the jaw. I'll throw a heavy punch into his liver, like straight, and sort of like lock form, and he'll fly 15 feet back.
Yeah, he does, into a group of people. Yep. And they cushion his fall.
Skairn yells from the sidelines, I said don't kill him.
And then I give Skairn a wink, like, wink.
And Skairn goes, oh, God.
So,
If you get me killed.
So Bjorn shakes his head slightly and seems to regain a sense of where he is.
And he spits the blood out of his mouth, staggers to his feet, barely standing at this point. He's blinking, and it's like his eyes aren't quite focusing. He just goes,
Wine!
and someone throws him a wine flask, and he just takes it and just empties it into his mouth and throws it to the ground. He goes,
Your Jarl is pleased! This is a fight, Strogarb!
you're starting to see spittle form at the side of his mouth, and he starts like stomping one foot on the ground and pounding his breast, and then you see like his nails are digging into his chest.
He leaves a trail of blood behind as his eyes glaze over and he enters into a battle rage.
He deals to himself 2 points of damage.
I say to the little girl, now's the good bit.
She looks back and goes, yes.
Jesus, this child is psychotic.
I know this child in real life.
Bjorn appears in front of you and immediately brings just these ham-fisted blows down on you. Does 19 beat your AC?
it does not.
Okay.
That is a miss and that is a hit.
Does Charlie throw up a defense of some kind? Because the first two don't hit, but he makes through with the third.
So he gets 3 attacks, does he?
He does.
So the first two, when he brings it down, Charlie just sort of like shifts to the left, shifts to the right, like, so it's not even a guard up, it's just...
Yep. And then he brings this one down on you and hits you for 7 points of damage.
Feet.
And as a bonus action, he's going to try grapple you.
I need an opposed grapple check from you.
Yeah, 13 plus 8, 21.
Okay, he failed.
He attempts to grab you around your head.
Charlie sort of, slips to the side
shoulders of it.
and slaps his shoulder on the way out. Like, not for damage, just like a nice try.
Yeah, right. He's grinning like a madman at this point. Your turn.
Yeah, Charlie's stone-faced. So Charlie then moves, so I've got my movement again, which is 50 feet. I'm going to use that to move behind him and then throws a kidney punch. Yeah, so that one's no good. That misses.
Cool. Next attack, please.
17 on the dice.
Nice.
So that's a 25.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Charlie strikes him for 6 points of damage in the kidney so that he'll sort of shift his weight and turn around. So I want him facing me.
Yeah, I think that first attack, he sort of just shifts slightly, like he's trying to evade. But
Yeah, and so just sort of to turn him around, make my next attack. 14 plus, so 22.
Yep, that hits.
Okay, so he's still stunned.
he is.
So I'm going to get him to make a Constitution saving throw.
Yeah, he passes that.
Okay, that's fine.
Was it?
And then
long as it's
last
consistent with con,
attack.
yeah.
which I got a 19 on one dice and 11, so 27.
To hit?
Yep.
Yeah, that hits.
Hey, 6. So that's 11 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll use my key point to make a flurry of blows attack.
Do that.
Where's your milk for what I got? No, that misses. It's a 1 and a 3. And that's a 20!
20!
Okay.
The number of times you've rolled those 12 dice, you should have had a 20 by now.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's,
You have
Roll
had a
your
1, so...
that's 9 plus 10, 19 points of damage. And again, he makes that strength save.
Okay, that's a big fat 11. He fails.
And he's pushed 15 feet back
into
into
the
the
ring.
ring.
Yeah. And I think he does the tumble ass over tit instead of lands seated.
Oh, actually, let me use the last of my movement to the other side of the ring. Fists up, gentleman-like. No smile on my face. Like, just dead staring at him.
Yeah, all right.
I'm well impressed.
Okay, meanwhile, Nezor, Abella, and Skairn. While Charlie and Bjorn are going at it, what's happening in the crowd?
I'm just watching stunned because, like, as Skairn said before, we've never seen Charlie actually like box fight. Like he fought the bird, but
Like, we've seen him fight.
that bird,
We
yeah.
know
No.
he's fucking lethal.
But,
we
like,
just didn't know.
boxing?
We've never seen him box.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, that's.
I'm probably
I'm that guy.
too impressed to even pickpocket anybody.
Like I'm so stunned. I'm not even like playing music. I'm just like, yep.
Scan is watching, trying to decide whether or not he should take a bet.
I would definitely take a bet.
Because he's like, I think Charlie might win, but I really kind of want to see what happens when this dude rages. What's the little girl's reaction like?
She's just like, yay!
Yeah.
Fight, kill.
No, Scan at this point is like, nah, if she's not worried, I'm not worried. She's seen her daddy fight too many times. I'm feeling like this is not par for the course exactly, but it's happened more than once. I'm pretty sure daddy will bounce back. I'm concerned, but it's sort of, I'm concerned like, I'd say if he's bounced back around, so his back is to us, so he's not that far from us at this point, I would say, read the crowd, Charlie. I'm not saying take a dive, man, but, you know your business. Just
I
don't
would
kill
probably
him.
hear this. I'm like, kill him, Charlie! Get him!
I don't kill.
Get
I
him!
know he doesn't.
And Scan, what would be more insulting?
Yes, Scan. What would be more
then-
insulting?
Grapple him, wrestle.
Finish him!
I'm more interested in what Castellan's doing at the moment, but I'm not really going to sneak off just to find out.
Maybe not you, Abella.
That's true.
If we wanted to investigate the house, now would be the time.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you want to sneak away and do something, you are more than capable of doing it. No one is paying you any attention.
After this fight, there will be more fights.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Like, even if there aren't, I'll challenge someone to make this keep going.
All right. Is there anything you want me to find, or?
I'm not giving you orders. I'm just suggesting if you wanted to.
Yeah,
do
no, but
some-
if you had like a particular
we not
direction.
find some very suspicious rooms.
We didn't really find anything.
Okay, so remind you, so you saw the ones that you checked were either empty or they had officers sleeping in them or getting changed. You also saw the chest that was in the room alone.
That one.
Oh, I got that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Got your thieves' tools with you?
I do. Of course I do.
Sweetie, they're part of my bodice.
All right.
And I like, as she walks off, I just like point at her. I'm like, so, don't go too far.
I'm
I'll just
like-
like, do what you gotta do.
I do finger guns back.
You slip back into the house, which has a few guards wandering around the premise. What would you like to do?
I would like to try and head towards the room with the chest in it. Because we can't go on the second floor, like we're not allowed to.
No, but you don't see any guards posted there at the moment. There are just a few men that are wandering the hall. One's literally crossing from the east wing to the
Have I
west wing.
passed any people having wine on the way?
Oh, outside, yes, absolutely.
I would try to sneak a glass and probably rinse my mouth out and spit it out. Just for the reason of if anyone's like, what are you doing? I'm like,
Ah, yeah, good.
wine on my
clever.
breath. So having done that, yes, I'll just head up the normal route.
Sure. Roll me a stealth check.
16.
So you almost run into someone at the top of the stairs. You're sort of like up against the hard side of the staircase, so not leaving any creaks. And then as you get up, this soldier just sort of walks past and he heads down to the hallway. You hug the side in the shadow and you're left in this sort of darkened hallway. Now, you remember that the first door on the right was Castellan's room, and the furthest room at the end of this row is the room that had the chest.
Of course it fucking was. All right. Can I see any guards? Any?
Coast is clear.
Cool. I'm gonna go for it.
You get to the end of the hall, and the door rattles a little bit, and it's stuck firm. You're gonna have to use those lockpicks if you want to get inside.
All right. I'm gonna do that. This is the first time I've actually picked a lock.
Maybe.
It's on a door. 16.
Yeah, that does it. And you get that satisfying click that you felt so many times, and you're just like, I'm gonna push this door open. In this room, in the dark, you can see the shape of the chest and the few rugs that have been left out on the floor.
I'm going to check for traps first.
Okay. Perception.
Oh, that's good. 23.
While you don't see any mechanical traps, it's really weird that there would be rugs on the floor. There's just something off about it. It doesn't quite make sense.
I'm going to pull it slightly to see if it gives.
It doesn't.
Because there's a chest on it.
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move to one of the other rugs that's not got the chest on it and try to pull it away.
None of them will move because they're all weighted down by this thing, but you could probably lift it up.
The rug?
Yeah.
Rugs are fucking.
Okay, I'm going to try to do that.
Okay.
Just like slowly to see what happened. I'm going to keep an ear out for any clicks or any...
Yeah, you don't hear anything of that, but what you do see underneath is that someone has painted ward signs and stuff. Roll me an Arcana check.
20, not natural,
Yeah.
but still 20.
Given your upbringing in more of a, I won't say noble family because that doesn't really exist in the Bashano Republic, but given that you would have
Very
had
educated.
a classical education, you're pretty certain that these are the symbols for fire
Good.
and the symbols for holding.
Question. Well, I'm going to take my mage hand, which I haven't used in a while. That's not a question. The question comes later.
Yeah.
So I'm going to reach across the border made by the carpets and see if the mage hand...
Using the mage hand to go.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it passes through the back.
Okay. I'm going to touch the chest with the mage hand, probably staying quite near to the door.
There's like a low hum. It's almost like not like a power hum, but kind of like a static sort of...
More felt than heard.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring my mage hand back and send it out with my thieves' tools.
Yep. Okay.
And just touch one of the thieves' tools to the chest.
There is like a static... I'll let you do a dex save to try and prevent it from flying from you.
Aha! 27.
Yeah, no, it's...
Fucking what?
I have +8 for dex.
I know.
And I just rolled 19, so like...
There's like a charge that just runs down and goes into the hand and sort of refracts a few times around inside the spectral hand and then sort of just dissipates.
Well, didn't hurt me. I'm going to try to pick the lock with mage hand.
Okay, that is going to be a disadvantaged roll. Because you are effectively using one hand for what would be a two-hand job, and also it's not your hands, it's a magic apparition.
12.
12 is not enough. You're getting like that small hum running down your innate connection with this hand, and you hear movement in the hall behind you.
Whoa. What's the movement doing? Is it coming or
Just
going?
someone heading down the hallway towards you. What do you plan to do?
Hide.
Yes.
Hide under the rug.
Just his feet poking out.
Birds.
No. That sounds like a good way to die.
Or get
I think there's a James Bond song like that.
Way to die.
Yeah.
Get hold and die. Bum, bum.
So I would have left the door sort of ajar behind me. So I'm going to very slowly close it, holding the handle so it doesn't click. And then
Do
I'm
a stealth check.
16. Fuck.
You hear whoever is in the hallway suddenly stop. Meanwhile, Charlie.
Bjorn's taken all this damage, and normally you see someone like this just go.
Instead, bleeding, bruised, and grinning like an absolute lunatic, Bjorn says,
Is that all you've got, strong arm?
How about you use your fists and not your mouth?
He splits his mouth in a huge grin. He's missing a few teeth.
Yeah, come on, strong arm.
With a roar of rage, Bjorn charges at you and is going to attack you recklessly, giving him advantage to all his attacks. And next turn, you will have advantage on all your attacks.
It's too many dice.
2 of his attacks hit you. So he goes for a liver shot.
Yep.
Which I'm sure you probably guard against.
Yep, of course.
And then as you drop your arm to do that, he, with the same arm, just follows up with the double whammy right into your left cheek. And he does 18 points of damage.
Shite.
You can now also hit him with advantage.
Reckless attack.
Yep. Going to attempt to grapple you again as a bonus action. That would be a 24.
I get 24.
He thinks he's got you for a second.
And again, I step to the side and slap him on the ear. Like, with my knuckles, like...
He did not like that.
Good. Because it's now my turn, and I have advantage on all of my attacks that I'm going to rain on him.
Yep.
So 23.
That hits.
It's 10 points of damage. 23 again.
Yep.
11 points of damage. And that one also misses. Blows. What are you doing to me, dice? Misses. So I'll take that 17. And that one hits.
Yeah.
I saw it, but I agree.
I didn't see what it was before I
yeah,
accidentally
yeah.
shifted it. And that's 9 points of damage.
Okay.
So again, it's while, like, after I've sort of slapped him, I bring a fist to the side of the head, and at, like, sort of as I'm striking with the side of the head, so it's like a side punch and then an uppercut. I've thrown, a couple punches which have missed. And then I throw like a heavy straight right into his stomach, like after just a combo at his head, just right in the stomach, like the actual physical stomach, not your belly button.
Yeah, nice.
Just underneath the rib cage.
Yes, yeah, just bop and again throw up that guard. And shift back 15 feet again.
Yeah. Bjorn's looking a little bit worse for wear now, finally. And a few of the voices that were shouting for Bjorn are now going, strong arm. I mean, strong arm.
He bloodied me with 3 hits.
Yeah.
I've only potentially just bloodied him with like 50.
Yeah. But the thing is, the crowd is starting to turn more to your favor. Possibly they've never seen him this damaged before.
Yep.
This has given him pause for a moment, and he stops and then, breathing heavily, looks at you. He brings his hand back up to his chest and cuts himself again.
Oh dear.
And
Is it the other way?
Yeah, for 3 points of damage.
Like an extra, you're Xing across.
Yes, absolutely.
Bjorn flashes a broken smile at you and says,
This is more like it. I haven't fought a man like you since my time in the north. Come at me, strong arm.
And just makes like a guttural yell and tries to spear tackle you. Okay.
I call
So this is a grapple?
This is a grapple check.
You're doing great, Charlie. Don't let him grapple you.
That one's going to be a 19.
He beat you by 1.
Oh! I said don't let him grapple you.
So yeah, he grapples you. And he is going to attempt to throw you over his back.
and Charlie, you know that if he does this, this is gonna hurt. Meanwhile, Abella,
She's still in contact with me at this point, or like she's moved too far into the house?
I think she'd be
I'm a bit far.
Like I'm not worried, but
Yeah.
You sit there for maybe a minute and no one, like you're pretty certain whoever was walking down the hallway went into one of the other rooms.
I'm going to try again with the mage hand tools.
Yep.
13.
13's not enough, I'm afraid.
Fuck's sake.
stop being trash.
Stop being one good, one bad. Because it's been
That's
consistently
the thing.
that.
Yeah, it's been like, oh, that's good. Oh, no, that one's bad.
You know that thing where you're in like complete silence and so you're so focused on something, the smallest noise sounds really loud?
Uh-huh.
As you're working on this thing, trying to get this one-handed like thieves tool to work properly, you're like, every time you make a slight click, you're like flinching at the sound. But So far, no one has noticed that you're doing this. So if you want to sit here and keep going, you're more than welcome to.
I'm going to do one more try. And oh, that one was good. So that's 25.
There is a satisfying click.
Thank you.
And then you, like, wipe your brow and it's just fucking painted in cold sweat.
It is.
There is, like, an oppressive feeling in the room that you didn't feel before that is just gone now. The chest has popped open a little.
Cool. I'm going to return my thieves tool to me, and I'm going to use the mage hand to open the chest. And I'm going to walk forward a few steps, not all the way there, but I'm going to see if I can see what's in there.
You take a few steps onto this carpet. There's no reaction. A few more steps, no reaction, and then you can see inside. Then it's just a pile of paperwork.
Someone who's gone to this length to guard that. That's paperwork.
I'm going to, again, mage hand, and pick out one and have a look at it.
It is an order form for about 10,000 rations.
Okay. Gonna do that again.
I'm gonna let you do an investigation check
to
see if you can find something interesting.
Yeah. 6.
6?
That's rough. Your investigation is 6?
No, it's +2, but I got a 4.
Yeah, that's rough.
So the only thing of interest that you do find as you're just sort of going through these papers is that you see the original contract with the Bachano. There's no signature on the bottom, and then void has been scratched over the top of it with a red ink.
Excellent.
Your eyes almost bug out when you see how much gold's being offered, though. It's like 150,000 ducats.
Oh, it's a good amount. No wonder those people were pissed off. Can I do another investigate?
Roll me another investigate check, Abella. We'll see how you go.
Oh, that was better. 12.
You almost miss it. There is a small envelope with a seal on it in black wax. This is a written guarantee from the Prince of Erhardt, basically outlining an agreement that will be put into contractual effect upon resolution of the war. Bjorn is going to be given an earldom if he takes and holds Rattou. Castellan has also been given an option to become basically a marquis. So these are very, very high stakes for these guys. But the contract is only for 50,000 until the resolution of the war. Effectively, if these two stay on board, they will be given peerage.
Which would be the twisting stone, because we've heard bad. We've heard that the Bachano offered more, but the Erhardt.
Yeah. So obviously that's why.
So that would be the twisting. That's why they went with the Erhardt. Though it's odd. Because, Castellan's human.
Yes.
And so is Bjorn. But he's not Erhardt.
No.
Which is odd, really. And, Skairn's not there, but that's odd.
I'm going to study the seal, make a sketch of the seal.
Mm-hmm. On what?
Don't I have paper somewhere?
You could steal some. There's plenty of paper in this chest.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm going to take one of the less important-looking documents.
It's like a food order form.
Yeah, right. That'll do. And I'm going to sketch the seal on the back.
Okay.
And then I'm going to leave the letter back, and I'm going to shut the chest.
But that was included.
Roll me a dex save.
Come on.
25.
I think at the last second you're like, oh wait, when I unlocked the chest, the magic thing stopped. And you're like, oh fuck, it's too late. And you just bolt and do like a tumble. And as this thing just kind of it lands almost like one of those chests with like the hydraulics that sort of, not a chest with hydraulics, but you know those things that sort of just ease down into the lock and go click?
Pneumatics?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
A car door.
Yeah, like that real gentle click. You just make it over the edge. As you feel that oppressive, magical feeling just land back in the room. And you're like, I could have died. Because you're pretty certain those wards would have killed you.
I'm glad I didn't. All right. So I'm going to carefully listen out to hear if I can hear anything from the hall.
You hear a snore?
All right, I'm going to gently unlock the door very carefully.
Yep.
Not unlock, but open, sorry.
Yeah, there's no one in the
Open the
hallway.
door.
Roll me a stealth check to get out.
Yep. 23.
You manage to steal back outside.
I'm going to infiltrate back into the crowd and start cheering like I've been there the whole time.
Yep.
Abella, you melt back into the crowd and you arrive just in time to see Charlie being held aloft by Bjorn, who intends to break him.
Yep.
Don't let him throw you over his back.
Do I get to make a save against this?
Yeah, it's your turn. You can use your action to break the grapple. It's an opposed check, so you use strength athletics or dex acrobatics to break it.
23 or 26?
Call it an opposed round. Yeah, you slip out. So he manages to grab you, like I think he's brought your head down to his chest, and he's basically grabbed you underneath, and he's about to like lift you over. And as he does, I'm imagining you probably like throw yourself up a little bit.
If he's got me by the head as he's lifting me, Charlie would shift his weight.
Yeah.
And sort of like shift a shoulder to push that grip down a bit so his head can pop out, shift his weight and put a boot on the back of Bjorn's head and sort of like step off his head behind him.
Right. He turns and faces you and looks very unhappy about the situation.
So much so that he's going to throw 3 wild haymakers at you. I'm going to roll these together. Okay. Not one of them was over 10, so he does not hit you on any of them. God. I think with the blood in his eyes, he misjudges them all, and he just throws them at you all the while, roaring like a lunatic. Charlie, it is now your turn.
Charlie closes his eyes and just sort of like exhales.
And the Matrix wobbles.
And he goes, I hope the Queen's not watching this.
I think that gets like a cocked ear from Bjorn, like,
That's a 17 plus, so 25.
Yeah, that hits.
So Charlie dashes in. As he sort of brings up his fist, he actually brings up his leg and stomps the side of Bjorn's knee.
Oh, nasty.
To try and shift his weight down. 6 points of damage. And give me a dexterity save. Sorry.
That's 23.
Yeah, so he doesn't fall prone, but drops his shoulder as he's shifting his weight to throw an uppercut into like his just meaty part of his face. That's not going to hit. That's a 22.
That hits.
And give me a Constitution saving throw. That's my last key point.
He fails.
So he's stunned.
Hey.
Yep.
So that strike slams him in the back of the head as he's on that weird angle, and then Charlie twists his feet to build some tension and then snaps it and sort of releases it like a spring with a heavy punch again to sort of the base of the skull, but in the meat of the neck. That's 20, so 19 plus 8, 27. That hits.
Yep. All those damages.
4, so 11 points of damage as that sort of coil unwinds and he punches him in the back of the head. Give me that dexterity save.
That he fails.
That he fails and falls face first into the ground, into the earth.
So Bjorn goes down face first into the mud and does not move. Quiet falls over the crowd as they see you standing triumphant, Charlie. And after a moment, you see the Jarl move slowly to get back up. And then he just gives in and sinks back down. And you can hear his muffled laughter from where he lays as he raises a hand and waves you off in a gesture of accepted defeat.
Then Skairn goes into sort of resolve the situation and sort of, good job, nicely done. And so, Vine!
Oh yeah, and the guy throws it.
I catch it, then roll the Jarl over.
He's grinning like a lunatic.
And I look down at him and I go, I hold out a hand for him to help him up.
He actually moves the big meaty fist to the opposite side and moves it out the way and extends it to Charlie.
Charlie reaches down and smiles and sort of goes, well, I'll tell you what, this is my favorite story.
This will be a fine tale for the sagas.
Skairn gives him the wineskin.
Oh yeah, he just drinks it and he goes,
You are lucky I was tired, strong arm. If I were full of pep and vigor, I would have crushed you.
You're lucky I'm still drunk.
He loves that response.
What is life without battle and women and wine? Come, strong arm, let us make merry.
Would he be sort of guest of honor now at this point?
Yeah, he's at the right hand of the Jarl.
Damn it.
I'd give him a little clue in on the. So, the Jarl is probably gonna be fucking cool with you now. So, run that for all it's worth, dude. He wouldn't take offense at you trying to milk that shit. That's kind of the deal. So good on you, well done. And I make a fist to pound it, and then I go, actually, wait, no. Fuck that.
Charlie does it gently, but like his knuckles are open and bleeding.
Yeah,
Like, you can
just like-
see a couple of the bones, which sort of reminds him of his grandfather.
And we pound it.
Yeah.
Ah, granddaddy. I
And then
remember how you
and
bled.
Skairn walks back. Skairn walks towards the ring, rubbing Charlie's blood on his own knuckles. And going, like, you there? You're sub, y'all, yeah? Let's go.
He's like, what? With the rest of the night, what are you guys going to do?
If more fights happen, then Skairn's up for a fight as well. He's like,
Cool.
we're visiting, and this actually really makes him pretty homesick. He's like, this is actually like shit. I haven't seen anything like this since I was at home. And whilst he doesn't need to know I'm from Landedlost, and I'm sure as shit, not mentioning my sister, this is this is still pretty cool. And Bjorn is Skairn's kind of dude.
Yeah.
And
The Jarl has another couple of bouts and decimates everyone else.
Yeah.
And he's still pissing blood. Like, he's just
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll get up and have a fight. Ha-ha! And then just...
and destroys him.
Yeah.
I'd go for any lieutenant, any sub Jarl.
We're just going to roll straight athletics opposed for this to see who wins.
Okay. Let's
Beat an 11.
Okay, let's try 8 plus 5, 13.
Yeah, it's a pretty close fight, but you eventually win. You knock him out cold.
Yeah!
Bjorn raises a glass to you and then drains it and then raises another
and
one.
I gesture for a flagon and raise it to the Jarl.
Yep.
And then I pour out half of it on the floor, making eye contact with him as in, this is to you, Jarl.
He's very pleased with
And
this.
then drain the rest.
All right, and this continues for most of the night.
Charlie would hang around for the, like, once the Jarl got to so drunk he shouldn't be alive drunk, because Charlie will be, like, drinking along but not getting hammered.
He's actually surprisingly restrained. He doesn't go for any of, like, the spirits. He's just beer.
Yeah,
He does
Charlie's-
knock back 2 wine skins.
Yeah.
But he was also in a fight. So Charlie's like drinking
better.
to be sober the next day.
Yeah, yeah.
And then basically when he's able to and when he doesn't feel like it's going to be an insult, he would actually head off back to the garden and sleep. Like, sort of get back into that comfortable position where he just probably talked to George in his head as he fell asleep.
Castellan returns at about the equivalent of like 11 p.m. Winding down, but still pretty rowdy. A couple of really grim-faced soldiers accompany him, and he sort of just looks over at the party and kind of just is beggared by the whole thing. Looks at Bjorn and just goes, and then he goes over to you, Nezor, and he goes, I have paperwork to deal with this evening. I was going to have a conversation with Mr. Thufferson. But instead, I think we will take tea in the morning. Can you inform him that I expect to see him at roughly 10 bells?
I can organise that.
Thank you. Oh, and I will instruct the bateman to convert the sitting room you were into a sort of barracks.
Sure.
You can sleep there tonight.
It sounds reasonable. I think these two will, gesturing over to them, crash anywhere at the moment, so not a problem.
So, Castellan very quickly quits the field.
Would Bjorn have brought his daughter because why not? Or was...
It's very common for raiding clans to bring children with them.
No.
Not necessarily as young as Mary. That's a little
And
bit
also,
odd.
like, because daughters or sons, it's not that big a deal.
No.
But It's the youth more than anything else. So Skairn would, if anything, Skairn would be like sort of. So, what's if Skairn had a moment with Bjorn, he would ask him, "What's the deal with? Why are you punishing Castellan? I mean, would he be aware that it is a punishment? Because Castellan
certainly views it as a punishment.
But Bjorn would probably view it as an honor.
Yes, and I think that's the disconnect. And I don't think that you actually need to have a conversation to kind of get that idea.
Because I've only just I've thought that through myself. But I'm just sort of like, Skairn, if anything, Skairn would be like, dude, your man, Castellan, is a good, solid boy, yeah?
He thinks too much. He worries over such tiny little things.
That is the problem in these lands.
But his thinking keeps the gold flowing into my coffers, so I keep him around.
You show him honor.
Yes, I do, don't I?
With the daughter.
Yes, one day Mary will be a fine warrior. She will be at my side, and so will he.
I did wonder at that. He seemed... Oh, it's nothing.
I'm going to say at the end of the night, apart from Charlie, I assume, you all end up back into this. You're all either brought or dragged or whatever.
Guided by me while I tell them.
I'm not getting fucked.
And you're basically given a billet.
And I inform everyone.
Yeah. Except I'm assuming Charlie's going to spend that till the break of dawn out the back.
Yeah, Charlie basically gets his sleeping roll sort of thing, puts it down, sits under the tree, and just sort of... after all of the, after the awful things of using his elbows and stomping on a person's knee and whatnot, he sort of recenters back to, settles himself down and, you know how you sort of, reason your actions out with, so, he sort of, as if he's having a conversation with
You
George.
fight or flight, you're calming it down.
And he's sort of that whole yes, I know I did. Yes, I know. I mean, that's not the Queen's rules, but, and then we'll fall asleep sitting up, basically.
Okay. I require from each of you a wisdom save.
Whoa.
And that,
I am not proficient.
that
with
20.
Nice.
17.
Good.
8.
24.
I got an 8.
24? Okay. Abella, your dreams
Yes.
are racked with nightmares. You have the same recurring dream of your sister drowning in front of you and you're unable to save her.
It's rude.
That wakes you up a few times, so you will not gain the benefit of a long rest, you will only have a short rest. Any abilities that would require a long rest...
I thought you have to have a long rest every 24 hours, otherwise you get fatigued.
Yes, but she's having a long rest, but it is, mechanically speaking, a short rest.
Sure.
However, the rest of you sleep fine.
I may have been drunk.
You have dreams of a recurring fist fight with larger and larger opponents until you win a Jarldom.
Oh, cool.
Charlie, you dream of the good times with Gorgeous George. And it's of the early days. It's when you guys were just starting out, when he basically saw you fighting on the docks and approached you for the first time. All those good memories. Nezor, your dreams are a bit disturbing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You are standing on the shores of a lake that is entirely placid. Whenever you turn to walk from the lake, you find yourself on the other side of the lake's shoreline. There are withered trees circling this place. You don't feel unsafe, and there's no creeping horror, but it is just strange. You feel as though you are drawn to this pool.
Is it familiar at all?
This place is in tones of blacks and greys. There's no color. It doesn't feel familiar. You don't know where you are. Tell me what Nezor would think it is.
It's one of those things where, does he know it's a dream?
I think he suspects it's a dream.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's cool, this is either a dream or someone's put me in a dreamlike state. So either there's something I'm supposed to do here, or I can just experience it for what it is. Can I throw something into it? So I wanna try and skip a rock across it, mostly just to kind of see if anything happens.
Okay.
I want to cast Prestidigitation on a fairly largish rock I can find, to put a symbol on it.
You find you don't even have to draw from your arcane reserves. You sort of just you look at the ground trying to pick a rock and you go, oh, there's the rock I want.
Cool.
And it's already there.
Cool. And it's got a symbol on it now, just literally.
What's the symbol?
A circle with 2 dots in it.
Okay.
and then I'm going to skip that across.
All right, roll me a dex check.
That's a 9.
The rock sinks about a third of the way across, and then the placid lake begins to bubble and roil. Have you had dreams where you'll walk into a room and then like the edges of the place you just came from kind of disappear from your mind? That's what's happening to this place. Like you're suddenly unable to hold the conception in your mind. But before you wake, the last thing you see is a shape beneath the lake beginning to rise. Hi everyone, it's Matty, your Dungeon Master. I hope you're enjoying episode 21 of There Be Dragons. I've got a few things I'd like to talk to you about today. But the first is we'd love to give a shout out to Variant Ventures. Variant Ventures is a group dedicated to cultivating a community of creators, artists, and players focused in tabletop roleplay games. They seek to enhance the experience of the hobby and create an open and safe space to grow. The Artisans Guild is open and active with digital art, crochet creations, dice making, chainmail, writers, and more. Their code of ethics and contact info can be found at variant-ventures.com. That's variant-ventures.com. And hey, if you're out on the internet checking out websites, you know who else you should also check out? That's right, it's Nerds of the West. Nerds of the West is a board game live streaming and YouTube channel community. You should check out their stuff. They play all kinds of board games and have a fantastic time doing so. And because this is coming out in October, of course, we got to talk about the spookiest board game that you possibly could encounter, which is, of course, Atmosphere. Atmosphere has been live streamed by the nerds only recently. You can check that out at their Twitch channel at twitch.tv/nerdsofthewest. Now, for those of you who are looking to support the podcast in a more direct fashion than just listening to ad space, you can now do so at patreon.com/therebedragons. That's right, we have launched a Patreon, and we would like to take a moment to say a very special thank you to our first patron, Michael. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Every dollar that comes our way goes towards making the podcast bigger and better in every single way it can be done. At the moment, we have a $3, $5, and $10 tier. Now, each of those comes with perks, and I won't bore you too much with the details other than to say anyone who decides to support the patron will get a special thank you in the ad space, and that doesn't matter what level that you decide to support us on. The $3 tier is just your way of throwing us a few bucks for what you think is a fantastic show, which means a lot to us. But the $5 tier will allow you to have access to a completely ad-free version of the podcast, and you will get the episodes 3 days prior to the public release. On top of that, if you're feeling really generous and would like to donate $10 a month to help support the podcast, you will get access to an exclusive side-along lore podcast called There Be Dragons Origins Westfall. It is the first in a side-along lore series that will involve the 600 years of the House of Westfall's history, which of course is our very own Rhylind Westfall's great noble house. We have already recorded a few episodes and we are busily working away getting those things polished and edited and ready to go out. The episodes themselves run off a homebrew system that was designed by yours truly. It's a little bit Calvin Ball and it's based on a few other systems, which I go into more detailed with the session 0, which explains the mechanics. If you just rather listen to us create a history of an ancient and venerable house, then just skip ahead to episode 1 when those episodes drop, and you'll get to learn a little bit about the first Lord of Westfall, Tristan Westfall. It's been a lot of fun recording this with Keren. She and I have been doing a deep dive into the early history of Urquhart, and this is a fantastic little window into the world. If lore with a slight roleplay element tickles your fancy, do consider dropping that $10 pledge on Patreon to check that out. We'll of course notify you all through Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook when that goes live so that you don't jump the gun, as it is a side-along podcast and we're fitting that in with the rest of our schedule. But if you support us, that means that we can edit things a bit faster. So consider checking out the Patreon today. Lastly, just wanted to say a very quick thanks to those of you who have sent us through a few more questions for the mailbag episode, but unfortunately we did not get around to answering them. We will be doing another mailbag episode, but unfortunately it will not be for a little while yet. We're trying to make those more of a milestone-based thing. And of course, those of you who support us on the Patreon will get access to those episodes like you would the rest of the episodes 3 days before anyone else on the public feed. That's just our little way of saying thank you for supporting us and giving you some value for money. So that's about it for this episode's ad break. Let's get back to the story in progress. And hey, thanks for listening. Nezor, you awaken in pre-dawn light. You're pretty certain it's probably about 5 bells. And you see Abella kind of like squirming in her sleep. And then you see Skairn with a big goofy grin on his face. You also see Hrosh in the corner. He looks like he's sort of like, you know those dog dreams where they're chasing things? Yeah, go on.
All cocked.
Sex dream.
Yeah, he is. He looks like he's defending himself. Like it's dog dreams, you know?
Yeah.
Little gouts of flame are coming out of his mouth every now and then, but then it's like the instant burn. There's no heat.
Is it cute?
It's actually not cute. It's there's like a guttural growl with it.
Sounds a bit cute.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Sounds so cute.
I guess it would be like watching a really pissed off chihuahua.
Yeah, that's adorable.
Like, but like
Like an
a
ugly,
kind
weird
of a
alien
feral.
way.
Like I guess it's objectively cute if you looked at it, but like it's not an. It's he's
Not
not
fun
having
to be nearby.
Yeah, exactly. He's not having a pleasant experience. You also notice that Scan's hair has regrown,
Well, of course.
and
Yeah.
the
That's
smell.
not surprising.
The smell is back, and it's worse than it was before.
That's interesting. It's worse.
Like you'd kind of gotten to terms with it.
Yeah. It's like I've noticed it again.
Yeah, it's like it changed slightly.
Yeah.
Like it's got a sweaty element to it now that it kind of didn't have before, or more so even. Would Nezor be attempting to go back to sleep?
Yeah, I think he's curious. And I feel like yesterday would have been fairly taxing.
Yeah, it was.
So I think even if he didn't want to, he probably would fall asleep. But I think he would still want to. So
It's not hard to get to sleep, surprisingly. But your dreams are nothing special.
okay.
So, can I... After a couple times of waking up, I would like to do a thing.
Sure.
So after waking up a few times, Abella would find a piece of paper and start writing the sentence, the quick onyx goblin jumps over the lazy dwarf, trying to emulate the writing from the prince.
Oh, interesting. Are you trying to emulate the signature or the actual content of the document?
Content of the document.
Okay. Roll me... You have a forgery kit, don't you?
I have a general thief kit.
I think a sleight of hand is a good,
Okay,
good
cool.
choice.
Cool. 10.
It's not bad. You're close, but it's not matched up perfectly. You've got the shape of the Q's and the M's.
This is something I'd keep trying until it works, so do you want me to just keep...
I will allow you to do one more roll.
Okay.
You may do it at advantage, though.
Oh, good, because that's a 2.
Yeah.
You actually get it worse.
Ah, yes. Good. 21.
Yeah, it takes... You've probably been awake all up for about 3 hours, on and off, trying this out. And you think about by the end of the 3rd hour, if at a push, if you had a moment to sit quietly somewhere, you could probably do a pretty decent copy of this without too much effort.
Cool.
Charlie,
Yes.
you have a leaf in your mouth and the sun's shining on your face.
Was that deliberate?
What sort of leaf is it?
Probably one from the tree.
What tree was this again?
The one you're sitting
There's like a sort of like a willow.
Did you
style
go
tree.
Do a
Bronchosaurus
nature
during
check.
the night?
Just to see if this is an edible leaf. That's 14.
Yeah, you should totally eat it.
That was a 14 nature check.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yep.
It's a leaf. It's not poisonous.
Neat 10.
Yep.
Get your greens.
And sort of, wakes up and then will sort of look at the sun, go, oh, yes, about that. Like, waits just with the sun and does his push-ups and pull-ups on the tree branch.
Mm-hmm.
Once I've done my morning routine, because I would be up with the sun, so 5:30, I guess.
Yeah, it's around that time, yeah.
And Charlie would search out the Bateman, because he has a plan.
Well, the Bateman's pretty easy to find. He's got a little, like, alcove he sleeps in the kitchen. He looks very drunk. He's got a bottle in one hand that's by his side. He's snoring quite heavily. His normally quite fastidious appearance is quite disheveled. His uniform hangs limply on him.
Okay, then. I'll do a... No, I'll have a look around and sort of see... So, like, cooking-wise, there's, like, grills and...
This place looks like it probably would have had at least 2 chefs working in it.
And, like, there's somewhere where the food would be stored, I guess.
Oh, there's a larder like,
Yeah, okay.
adjacent to where the alcove is.
Charlie will sort of look at him and pull the bottle out of his hand, put it on the counter away from him, and I'll fire up the grills myself then, I guess. And, heat some water up.
Yep.
Slowly bring some water to the boil as well.
So these are all coal fire stoves. It takes a little bit to get, but you're able to figure it out once you work out effectively where everything is. And so about half an hour later, you've got a warm breakfast, or 2 warm breakfasts ready to go.
Yeah, I would, just before the breakfast's finished, I would,
Dump the boiling water on the bacon.
I would... He's still sleeping, is he?
It's light sleep. It's definitely light sleep.
Charlie will pinch his nose, like... burp.
He snorts and goes and wakes up and flinches back as he looks at this looming giant.
And the
Hang on.
smell of cooking
Yeah,
flesh.
a spoon falls from one of his sleeves.
Charlie will be like, oh, I see you didn't quite get the subtleties of my conversation yesterday.
He's just blinking at you with that sort of half awake, half terrified, also kind of drunk.
I'll sort of,
beady eyes.
again, put my hand on his shoulder and go, put the cutlery back before I tell Bjorn. Or Castellan, who would probably be worse to find out, do you reckon?
He doesn't really respond with words. He responds with a gurgle.
Go, either way, put them back, stop stealing, it's not becoming. And do me a favour, fetch Skairn, the half-elf, for me. Bring him to the garden. Thank you.
So yeah, he gets up at that, does his best to put himself in order, takes like probably half the cutlery cupboard and puts it back on the counter, and that little bowl that he had before that he had the ice in, a few other
I'm having that
bits
bowl.
and pieces.
And Charlie would pick up the 2 plates and the boiling water and head out to the garden and sort of, I get like 2 plates and the boiling water on like his arms and his hand.
Yep.
And drag like a couple of chairs out to the little sitting table area.
Scan, you're probably sleeping closest to. There is on the door to your room.
What? There am I. What?
Scan, you stink.
Sorry, but it's true.
Guys, it's starting to be really hurtful. Oh.
The door cracks open and this light comes in from like a candle. And he goes, "My apologies, sirs, but the large man wishes to
And
see
I
you,
chopped
Skairn,
liver.
in the garden. He has prepared a breakfast.
All right then. Crush.
Prosh is rolling around on the ground.
Oh, he's heavy. Is there? Oh no, this is a bad one. Wait. And I get some jerky out of the pocket of my jacket, and I kind of like it not like do the action you would to garrote somebody, but over his nose.
Right.
Sort of try and smother him with the smell of meat, and all the while patting his back.
Roll me an animal handling with advantage.
We will take the first one. 19.
He wakes up, that like pupil slit, like super dilated into a sharp look. He almost bites your finger, and you get
Charlie has made us bacon. If Charlie hasn't made us bacon, I'm going to be very upset with him. I think there is bacon. Then I scoop him up and I plonk him on my shoulder, give him another strip of jerky, and go down the corridor to the.
You get like the feeling of finally I'm being paid my due from Frosh.
So I then scoop him off my shoulder and hold him more like a cat. And more like Dr. Evil's cat, and sort of pat him as we go.
He is much more happy about this situation.
Okay. He wraps his tail around my forearm.
Yeah, I think he's got like a little trill under his.
Oh yeah.
Under his jaw. The bateman stays behind and looks at you, Abella, and then looks at you, Nezor, and goes, "Do either of you have any spirits on you?"
Nah.
The only man who probably did has just walked out the door.
Only if by spirit you mean my natural pep. Ha! Abella's a little delirious from not having a lot of sleep.
Should I bring a wash basin for you? You look dishevelled, madam.
I am at the top of my game, but thank you, and I appreciate your work.
In the garden, Charlie, what have you been doing?
So Charlie would have basically the the 2 breakfasts plus a small wee plate with some assorted meats, like sort of basically bacon and sausages, but they're not as cooked as, like, not edible for human. And he's just checking on the tea. He's got his tea set out. So the nice tea set and the cracked cups in front of him. So he's just checking that the tea is brewing. And he's got his nice tea set out with the chipped cup.
Well, part of it wasn't in the best of shape. The teapot's okay, but the end of the spout has kind of snapped off a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not. No one part of this is in perfect working order, but collaboratively it works.
He's like would have spent time with, say, like a semi-coarse cloth polishing the end of the spout so that it's not rough and
like his
there's
pants
not
or something.
Bits don't fall into it. Oh, like a kerchief or something.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that anything loose won't come off.
Yeah.
Whatnot. He has plans to get it fixed at some point. But
Yeah. Well, all the pieces are in the little bag that you had.
anything that's not whole, he has kept. But yeah, and he's got Duchess.
As I pass through the kitchen, I see a bottle on the table.
Yeah.
What is it?
Some kind of moonshine, something that doesn't have a label.
I sniff it, and trying to determine.
It's like potato-y smell.
I look around the kitchen and see if there's anything better.
Roll me a perception check.
6, 7, from a nat 1. I take the rot gut.
Well, I was going to say there is like a small shelf which has a number of like different clear glass bottles on it, and some of them have the look of being filled with some kind of liqueur.
I go up to that and sniff a couple of them. I'm looking.
They all smell alcoholic.
That's good. Could I find one rummish?
Rummish?
Rum-ish.
They're all kind of similar in smell. Some of them are a little citrusy. Others are a little bit minty.
I'll go with the mint one.
Yeah.
The vaguely minty one.
Citrus would be all right with tea.
Yeah.
You put like lemon, or you can put
Like
orange.
Earl Grey.
No, fuck it. Yeah, let's take a citrusy one.
Deconstructed
I'm
Earl
looking
Grey.
for an orangey, citrusy sort of a one here then.
There's one that it's not so much orangey as it's sort of like a really sweet apple.
That'll do. Yeah, fuck it. Why not? That'll be fun.
Yeah. You know when you bite into one of those green apples, it's really like sweet and it's like sharp.
Yeah.
It's that smell.
Yeah. Okay.
Sour monkey.
Good cider.
If you've ever been unfortunate enough to drink sour monkey.
Nope. So yeah, I grab one of the citrusy ones. I grab the appley one, and I take the rock gut just in case, and I head outside with the two. I've probably seen Charlie outside and be like, oh, I'm gonna need a bottle of something for this.
Yeah.
I grab the 2 bottles and head out.
So when Skairn walks out, Charlie would sort of stand up and go, "Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Please, have a seat."
How did you turn out after last night?
Oh, perfectly well. It was wonderful sleep. Wonderful. Beautiful out here. What about yourself?
Yeah, one of the nicest night's sleep I've actually had in a long time. Good dreams.
Good. Please, do sit down.
Nezor? Skairn sits down, looks at the cracked tea set, and waves his hand and casts minor illusion and makes it look pretty.
What are you trying to do?
As in, try and remove, superimposes an image of not cracked on the tea set.
On the tea set? Okay. There's no requirement for you to do that? No
rolls or anything?
No, yeah. That's fine.
I just make an image. It's not permanent, but it looks...
Yes, thank you. Would you like some tea?
I wouldn't mind some.
Sorry.
What's in the pot?
Oh, hard grey, of course.
I'll allow it.
And he'll pour you a cup.
I take a sniff, then I take a sip.
It smells and tastes like raspberry cordial.
Oh.
Oh, hot grey, extra hot.
Oh.
Is it to your liking?
It's just not what I was expecting.
Well,
I took you for someone who fancied something a little bit more bitter.
I mean...
That's not a problem. It's very pleasant. It's not what I expected.
Okay, when you taste it, this is not Erhart Grey. This is some kind of raspberry flavouring.
Oh, What? Oh, this isn't. Like,
Sorry,
sort of checking the teapot.
Teapot's fine. It's just like
No,
Oh,
check
thank
in
fuck.
the teapot. Sorry, check in the teapot.
yeah,
to
no,
make
it's
sure
a
there's
red
nothing in
cordial
there.
now, like a hot red cordial.
How? It was my tea bag. My tea
Oh,
leaves.
my bad. I turn off the. I turn off the minor illusion.
Oh,
Sorry, I was trying to be nice.
Well, I appreciate the sentiment. Okay. Yes.
Look, I could probably non-magically fix at least one element of this, and I get out the rot gut. Pour just a tipple into each. I look at him and say,
No.
very well.
I'll brew some more tea later. And please eat. And sort of he gestures to the mates on the side for.
Yeah, Krosh has probably like leapt down Skairn's arm already and is just having at that.
So while Skairn and Charlie break their fast, Abella and Nezor, what are you up to?
Hey, Nezor. You up?
Can be.
What time do you reckon it is?
You hear
6, 7.
Good, thank you.
6 bells chime.
It's so early.
Yeah, it is.
There's nothing going on today. Like, I'm sure we'll find something to do eventually, but
Well, I've got a meeting. I'm meeting up with that chick from. Yeah, that's
a little
today.
bit more interesting than sitting around here.
But it's not till noon, so we got like 6 hours. So, but if you want to bail and get some breakfast,
Yeah, I mean, if you need help with that later, I'm sure we could head
Well,
out into
look,
the city
first
and
of
see
all-
what happens.
first of all, let's find some breakfast here, and then let's head out.
Okay.
Sounds.
So I'm going to say this is probably a couple of minutes after Skairn got up and left. As you walk out to look into the rest of the house, you see from the wing of the house that was basically set up to be like the war room, you see just probably about 12 to 20 different, you're guessing officers, like they're giving you that vibe, just file out all in once. They're all holding sealed envelopes, and they've got very grim faces on. You don't recognise any of these people from the night before. Not that you probably would have really recognised a heap of them, but they look clean-cut, fresh, like they've been recently summoned, and your immediate guess is they've been given dispatch orders.
Does the seal on the envelopes look familiar at all? Am I close enough to tell?
It's just a wax seal. It's got a shield shape on it. Like
Is
These are the red shields, aren't they?
yeah.
Red shields?
Yeah, that's the name of the mercenary band is the red shield.
Right. Okay.
So they all file out and leave, and then you can kind of smell the remnants of the cooking, and you find the kitchen. While you're looking for something to eat, you notice through the window in the kitchen that out in the garden, Charlie and Skairn have sat down for a small tete-a-tete.
I think they're having a discussion. One, that I'm not going to go to the pub. I think I'm perfectly happy here in the kitchen. Coincidentally, Nezor, my
With all
friend.
the food.
Do you know what else is in the kitchen?
Food. There's
It's
food
food.
here.
You're completely correct.
We
Nezor.
came to the right place.
We did. I'm going to eat some food. And offer some to Nezor, obviously.
We'll just find some food.
So, I must be honest. I did bring you here with a bit of a
Malice of intent.
not malice. And Charlie sort of puts, he takes a mouthful of the sausage and goes, yes.
His table manners are not as effete, and he's got both elbows on the table. He is tucking in, and there is chomping, there is appreciative noises.
Rosh is attempting to eat Charlie's meal.
Charlie won't.
Skairn grabs Krosh and then slices off a couple more pieces of sausage from his plate and it's like, no.
Well, there's like a nice
Naughty.
hallmark out of one of Charlie's sausages.
He has not, however, replaced the sausage. It's just,
No, it's, yes.
You've hung out with this guy for like a month.
Exactly. Yeah, like, sort of lays the cutlery down and looks at you and goes, so, since we've left Areem, and I hope you would agree, I think between yourself and I, we've made some pretty poor decisions.
At this point, Skairn sort of puts his cutlery down and leans back and goes, I don't think that's unfair to say.
These decisions, I, again, feel have put some...
Strain?
That's a very gentle way to put it. Strain on relationships in the group, not just between yourself and I.
No, I would agree with this.
Though it may not seem that way, I genuinely enjoy the company of everyone, especially yourself. I propose that me and you work together to hold each other accountable for the decisions that we make, and strive to think about other people before we make those decisions. Does that seem fair to you? Of course, this isn't me trying to turn you into an Earhart gentleman, or to remove anything that is your charm. Just more hoping to
make me a bit more of a team player.
That's one way to put it. Yes. Just how much of a shot do you really think we would have had at dealing with all of those druids? Honestly. Do you think we would have come out of that unscathed? How do you think young Nezor would have done in a situation like that? Or Abella?
As he finishes that question, you see buck-naked Bjorn just wander past and go into the pond.
Morning, I would say in Illic as well. My response to that one is, Charlie, without wanting to get into the nitty-gritty of I told you when you did this and whatever, I didn't know any of the rest of you were there when I started that.
I'm not trying to bring up... I do apologize if it seems like I'm attacking you. I made a decision knowing full well that everyone was there to start a conflict with that bird. We could have lost anybody to that bird. So this isn't me blaming you. This is me trying to put it in a way that might be more accessible.
Here's where I'm coming from on this one, Charlie. This group was assembled to do a job. It was an illegal job. Shit happened. Couple of guys died. And I'm okay with that. And I'm genuinely surprised when everybody appears not to be. Because we were hired to be criminals. Something that a couple of us already were. And
Charlie sort of like quizzically looks at you.
I don't need to go into the nitty-gritty of it, but so you have, for whatever reason, you have joined a group of essentially criminals, and your moral compass is hugely respectable and honorable, and I do respect it, but it clashes somewhat with mine. I suppose it's partially my upbringing. The Illic is very much an eye for an eye. When there's so much fighting between tribes and so forth, law is not... law is a very movable target.
You're not in the north anymore. You
I know.
Understand that.
I do understand that. However, still, I have not found anywhere in the world that does not make right. That being said, I do understand and I appreciate your compass. And your point concerning my decision-making process is not invalid. I feel like every time we start something or something gets started, we run away from it. And yeah, that's a perfectly great way of staying alive. But sometimes, I'm not saying this to disagree with you necessarily. I think we're possibly having two different conversations.
I mean, I get with the druids, sure, and with the bird, sure, but that was because the group seemed to make the decision that it was an insurmountable foe. But if I remember correctly,
we just went a little half-cocked with the bird, I think.
Did we not murder a dragon man?
That worked out well. Yeah, and we did great. That was an awesome time.
We murdered a guy, though.
Yeah.
So, something that I feel like I'm getting from what you're saying is that you don't feel like I have your back in this.
I suppose not. If I was to say, and you're not the only one, to be honest, there's a couple of, like Nezor's always good. You know Nezor's safe. You never know where you stand with Abella, but I think that's just basically Abella's thing. But with you, it's not a matter of trust. I definitely trust you. You are probably the most trustworthy person I have ever met. It's not. It's just that I don't necessarily trust that you. I can trust that I know what you're going to do. I just don't necessarily think it'll be the thing that I think you should do.
Sure, but I can say the same too.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure you can.
The whole point of this conversation is that I will always have your back. I will always have everybody's back. If there is a moment where I need to defend you as friends, I will do so. I will not stand by while any of you are harmed. My concern is when we could make decisions that don't require me to
Harm people.
get into a fight. Like, your decisions can lead to me having to get into a fight which is avoidable.
Right. You'd rather I didn't get you into situations where you didn't have to have my back.
I would rather not have to hurt somebody, but I will.
Sure.
If you're in danger, I will hurt people.
No,
I just
so I suppose
don't enjoy
the place where we need to come to an agreement is when is it okay?
Just as an example, not murder two people just because they had words written on a page. Sorry.
I take the point rather than...
Sorry,
I see
that
what
was
you
a
mean.
little. That was a little.
It was a little on point.
My apologies.
Because I disagree with your interpretation of events on that one. That's why that event happened. And I think that's actually the issue between us. And I interpret it one way and you interpret it a different way.
You think those people should have been killed? You know, we have very, very scary paladins that enact judgment upon people for things like that, right?
Sure.
You're not one of them.
No.
And you doing that could bring that judgment not only on yourself, but on all of us.
It was a gut response to what I perceived as a very inherently unjust situation. I take your point, however, of the could have handled that better, could have dealt with it in a better way. That is certainly true. So what I will say to you, Charlie, is before I do something that I think you might think is crazy, I'll give you a look. And you can nod or shake your head. Because I think you know me well enough to know exactly what I'm thinking when I give you that look.
I'm not here to...
Be my moral compass.
I'm not here to expect you to be better. I just want to breach the subject that there is an opportunity to maybe remove some of the strain in the party. Because I'm retired. Mm-hmm. I'm very interested in Dupree's offer.
You see, I'm not. On a totally different subject. Dupree is a sketchy motherfucker. I would not touch that man with a barge pole. He has dicked me around so many times. Like, every single job he has offered me. Did you know that he wanted us to fix your fight? That's the second job he offered you.
I was aware of that.
Yeah. And we said no. The payment offered for the first job we did for him, the one that involved a bit of murdering, only part of it came through. When that payment did come through, it's wound up being pretty fucking inaccurate. I don't trust Dupree as far as I could spit. I just don't really want to be involved with that man anymore. I see, like, there's some... The last time we were involved in Dupree, we changed the fucking stars.
The last time we were involved with Dupree, me and you changed the stars.
That's what I said.
Yes, not him.
No. But the last time he was involved, we changed the stars, yeah.
His involvement had nothing to do with that. That was me and you playing around with something. He didn't ask us to do that.
True, but he was there. He was in a room where you can change the stars.
Does that not interest? Is that not like peering through a window into a wonderland of things you've never seen before?
I think some things shouldn't be changed. The stars, you're a navigator, for fuck's sake.
I understand that, but if we can change them one way, can we not change them back?
I would like to do that, but then I'd like to leave them that way.
I agree with you. I feel like avoiding Dupree. As you've probably figured out, I'm very particular with
Who you hang out with?
with certain traits. From what I've experienced with him, he's a typical highborn Erhard gentleman. He's the
That doesn't make me any more inclined to trust the man.
I understand that, but at the moment he stabs, if he stabs us in the back, I feel like maybe, and I wasn't here for this, but maybe it might be just some levels of misunderstanding, just as me and you have had.
At this point, Bjorn comes out of the lake, walks up to you, fully unclothed.
Full mask?
No, not full mask.
No,
It's been in cold water, man.
It's probably not.
And leans over your shoulder, Skairn, and takes the last sausage from Frosh's plate and begins to eat it and goes,
I am refreshed. Nothing like a good bath in the morning to get the blood pumping. How are you this morning, Strongarm, Fellspar?
Harry.
Harry, must be all that drinking you've been doing.
and he thumps you and you feel like you've been walloped.
And then I offer him the bottle of Rodgut.
Yeah, he just takes it and starts swigging. He goes,
Well, 2 warriors in a match of wits, it seems. I will go now. I have a city to pillage.
That you do, sir.
he turns and collects his clothes and starts getting dressed.
Charlie, I appreciate very much the gesture and the intent. I thank you very much for your words and your breakfast. Frosh does as well. I take your point, and I honor you as a friend. As I say, I'll give you a look. That is the best I can really offer at this point. You and I, we have different ways of approaching things, and I will try to remember it when I judge your actions, and I hope you do so when you judge mine. Now, with that in mind, I take off my clothes, set myself on fire, burn off the hair, and jump in the lake.
Abella and Nezor. Bjorn walks in,
He's still naked.
mostly naked. He's not wearing a shirt. He's got that sort of like big, fat, hairy dude kind of look with tattoos.
He's a bear.
Well, it's a badger, but he looks at both of you and goes,
Food!
It is food. And I gesture with, I think I'm holding like some kind of Danish.
Bjorn just blinks at you and then repeats himself.
Give your Jarl food!
I offer him the rest of the Danish.
He takes it, starts eating it.
Yes, you have pleased your Jarl. I do not remember an elven wench or a little man working for me. Who are you?
We are Strong Arms companions.
Oh, yes, I remember now. Strong Arm is a mighty warrior. He would serve me well at my right hand. I will offer him the blood oath to the Jarl of the Red Shield.
And then just leaves.
That's not going to happen.
Nah.
He works for the Earhart. Charlie's all down for that shit. That'll be a great way back into the family's good books.
And the first time Charlie refuses to kill a foe, he will be the least favourite.
That's true.
Are we able to leave the house, or are we still kind of...
You can leave the house, but if you get the distinct impression you would not be allowed to leave the grounds.
Yeah.
The bateman stumbles in, goes to start pilfering, and then notices that you're there.
Oh, don't stop on our accounts. Go for your life.
Is the large man nearby?
Outside, but it's alright. I'll keep a lookout for you. You're good.
Where's that bowl? And he looks around. Damn it. Damn it!
You good there, bud? You lost something? Or...
Oh, nothing. It's fine. And then he just turns on his heel and leaves. Yeah. He turns on his heel and leaves.
Good chat!
Wonder if he knows any way out of here.
Oh, shit. I'm going to run after him.
Yeah.
Did Matt bring this guy in for a reason? No.
He's polishing the picture frame in the hall just outside of the kitchen.
I'm like, hey,
Oh, yes. And he's
Question.
just hands straight away from the thing, turns and looks at you. Yes, miss.
if I had to run a quick errand, is there a way I could leave or...
Through the front gates? Why? What's the errand?
Oh, I've just got to...
I could run the errand for a small fee.
Oh, no, that's all good. No offense, I don't trust other thieves. Like, you seem cool, but like, nah, we're good.
He kind of looks at you and you're not sure if he's offended or he's just like embarrassed.
Okay, champ.
What do you mean by other thieves? He looks around like to see if they're close together. He goes, Are you stealing things from these people as well?
I'm going to show him the tea party figure that I pilfered.
And he's like,
it's not even worth anything. I just like it.
He gives you a sidelong glance and then says, Call me Arthur. I could show you where the good stuff is.
Okay, so Charlie would sort of, as he walks in, sort of put down some dishes and do a quick of the knives and forks that are all being put there. Are they there? Do you want me to give you a perception check?
Yeah, no, they're all there. Yeah.
He's going to be like...
The only thing that's missing is a bottle of cleaning agent from one of the shelves.
I did not put it in a beverage.
You did?
No, I didn't. I used the rock gut.
Yeah.
In the tea?
Yeah, because it tasted of raspberry. I wasn't going to put apple in that.
Okay. I'm going to say to the bateman, where's Bjorn?
Don't know. I passed him as he was buttoning his shirt in the hallway about 5 minutes ago. He came through the kitchen. Did you see him?
Yeah, it came through.
I trust that you
Took my pastry.
see that everything is in order, sir. He says nervously, looking at the.
I just sort of like, I wouldn't know what you mean.
Quite, sir.
And Charlie will try and see Bjorn. Try and catch Bjorn before he leaves.
Bjorn is in the main atrium of the house, and he's talking to an officer that you don't recognize. And he's just sort of like doing that whole thing of like scrunching his eyes up and leaning his neck in.
So you are telling your Jarl, who set the mighty bonfire on his enemies, that you put the fire out?
And the guy responds, So, it was Commander Reed's orders. He arrived shortly after you left and demanded we put this fire out. Bjorn just stares at him like a man. It's like a man being told that there's no beer in the pub. You know what I mean?
Trying to understand how that's a thing that's possible. Like,
yeah, like it's like I understand the words you're telling me, but that's not a thing that's possible.
Everything about this makes me angry and upset.
Yeah?
What do you mean you ain't got no fucking chips?
I told you to burn them!
Charlie's not going to interrupt. He's going to wait till the conversation finishes, and Bjorn's not.
Yeah.
You have displeased your Jarl!
He then backhands this soldier and storms off into the east wing.
Castellan!
So away from me, or?
Yeah.
Oh, this is awkward.
Should we follow, or is
No,
this
I'm not-
really
I'm
nothing
not with
to do
it.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not with you, fellas. I'm trying to. I was trying to talk to him.
In this conversation in the kitchen.
I'm having a pastry.
So the guy is a lieutenant then. The guy that just got cleared.
Yeah, he looks sweaty and cold.
I sort of go, excuse me, sir.
Slightly dazed.
Yeah. Yes, who are you? I recognize you.
Possibly. I don't wish.
You're Charlie Roughhouse.
Oh, there it is.
God. I watched you box in the Erhardt League like 3-4 years ago. And he looks around like for a piece of paper. Give me a second, I'll get one of my adjuvants to come.
I'll just sort of reach into my pack and pull out a card.
Yeah. Thank you, my kids won't believe this.
I'm like, how many kids?
Can I shake your hand?
How many children do you have?
Oh, well, I've got a daughter and a younger son.
You do another one and sort of give him two.
It's gone from a real load or...
Put a hand out.
He's taken an upturn.
And when he like shakes his hand, he'll put a hand on his shoulder as well. Like,
You hear a creaking of bone on bone.
I think the weight is just like, he's like, oh, it's another big person touching me inappropriately.
it's gentle. Like, it's not like...
No, but like there's a certain weight to like large hands regardless.
Like when Josh falls asleep with his arm over me and suddenly I can't breathe properly.
Yeah.
After a heavy night of drinking.
Yeah.
Because like there's a certain
Normal
type
Josh.
of limp that Josh goes and I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he's asleep.
It's drunk sleep. It's like less muscle.
He goes, what can I do for you, sir?
I was hoping to go into the city, do a few errands. Is there a way for me to get across? Do I just need to swim across?
Well, the floating market should be set up by now, so you should have a causeway across to the Tinker's Corner. You'd have to go by Farrier's Row. And he looks around and goes, "Let me, 1 second." And he ducks into the next room. And he returns shortly with a map. And he lays it out to you. So he shows you this map and he points at like a set of buildings on a built-up island, and then shows that if you cross over to another smaller island which has another bridge that sort of breaches the gap between the two, there's like another sort of more well-to-do area. And then there's this weird sketch on the map of what looks like a series of boats all sort of strung together, and he goes, "That's the floating market. That will allow you to cross to the southern part of Rattou. Otherwise..."
Wonderful. And he's like, "Okay, well, I need to head out. If anybody asks for me, that's where I'll be." And with the hand still on his shoulder going, "And don't worry, I'm sure you're doing a wonderful job." And
Thank you. So are you... I'm not sure you have permission... Oh,
and Charlie just sort of walks
I
to the
wanted to
front,
stop you, could I?
yeah.
to the front area, like the gate, and sort of goes, like, is there boats there for me to, like, the floating markets reach there, or do I have to swim?
You would... No, like, you can cross over the bridges. It's a fair walk. It'd be at least a half-hour walk to get to where on the map you saw they are. Because it's 2 islands across.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Charlie, you've managed to find your way to Farrier's Row, which leads to the floating market. Farrier's Row is absolutely bustling with soldiers. There just doesn't seem to be much of an end of them. There's probably at least 3,000 of them in this area alone. And they all appear to be being sent on patrols into certain areas. The locals are pretty much staying inside their houses. Like, this is a sort of a well-to-do middle-class area. Hence its name. There's also quite a lot of like horseshoe blacksmithies and those sorts of things nearby. But there are a lot of carts that are being dragged with soldiers sitting in the back of them. There are soldiers marching around in formation, being sent into different sections of the town. You see a number of officers with documents that had like red seals on them, and they're reading out names. It's Johnson, Alvarez, that sort of shit, right? It's naming troopers and then reorganizing them into like smaller, like 5-man squads.
Fire team, if you will.
Yeah.
Are they hot?
It's quite a lot of work, so yes, they're working up a sweat.
Charlie's sort of like strolling with the very animated arms and whistling to himself.
You know that's not what she meant.
That's true, I did. But yeah, Charlie, they're not paying any attention to you.
Oh yeah, as I said, Charlie's sort of like just... Yeah, she's with him.
How did you get there?
She's always basically...
She basically heals with him. We didn't swim. I just took the bridges.
Oh, okay.
And just like, whenever someone was like, "Excuse me," it's
Bulldogs
like,
suck at swimming.
yeah, no, every time someone was like, "Oh, excuse me," he'd be like, "Morning," and then just keep
Yeah,
walking.
a few times people have tried to stop you from going places and you've ignored them.
Yeah, he's basically just sort of gone, "Yes, good morning," and just kept walking.
They've kind of decided you're going away from the important parts of town, so that's fine with them. And they're also a lot of them are getting bitched out by senior staff. There seems to be like a lot of like, it's redeployment.
Yeah.
This is the easiest way to you've been at musterings before.
Yeah, I get what's happening.
Yeah. But then you come across the floating market. It's about 300 to 400 foot stretching across the mouth of this river. All these poles that have been hammered into the water.
Yep.
And between them, all these little boats with all kinds of little trinkets and things have basically pulled up and tied up and are in the process of being set up as like market stalls. And it literally creates a causeway from one bank to the other that people can traverse. But currently, a chain runs across the length of one side, so they can't like just scoot on through. And it's everything from like a 3-man barge, almost like a pontoon size stuff, to like larger cargo barges that have been pulled up here. And there sort of is like a rhyme and reason to the whole thing. The whole causeway sort of snakes along the length, with the more well-to-do people being further out from the middle. So people who are selling, like, you see a guy with a bar just filled with cabbage. You see someone who's got... Yeah. You see someone with, like, fine silks and linens in a rattier, smaller looking barge. It's just a hubbub of, like, trade and hawking.
Charlie would sort of look for any sort of places for, like, trinkety bits or, like...
Yeah.
Somewhere that might have some, like, musical instruments or just, like, nice sort of... You
do see a few of them, but there are also a lot of soldiers here that are sort of going through and harassing a lot of these people. Like, the guy with the barge of cabbages is currently having his cabbages moved from one end to the other by these soldiers.
Yeah. Charlie ignores them and, like, finds a nice, like, place that's just full of knickknacks and sort of sorts.
Yeah, there's definitely there's someone who does, like, these little figurines made of ceramics.
Yeah.
Not too dissimilar from the ones you saw in the estate you just left.
I'm sort of thinking more along the lines of, like, the shops that have at garbage tips where like, people will salvage out.
That's pretty much what this place is like. Well, what do you want? What do you want to find?
So it would be like, those are a nice pair of slightly elven-looking boots, or hey, look, there's some shiny.
The boots are really bad. They're basically the seams falling. Like, this stuff is not quality. This stuff is just crap that people have brought to sell.
Yeah, whereas, like, I'm just looking for, so like, oh, that's a pretty interesting-looking harpoon. Maybe Skairn would like that. Oh, look, there's some, like...
Yeah, you definitely see
like
all this stuff.
Whetstones and string. Like, I'm not looking to buy, like, brand new, pristine, like, in the packet whetstones like...
Yeah, but I assume you're continuing to move on?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you eventually make it to the other side. And there is a lot of people milling about. Roll me a perception check.
That's an 11 plus. That's 19.
Okay. Charlie, through the crowd on the opposite bank, you see Rhylind slip out of an alleyway that fronts onto the dock. She's battered, bruised, and worst of all, she's covered in blood. Thank you for listening to this episode of There Be Dragons. I am your Dungeon Master Matthew, and Abella DeRosier was played by Angela Leta Kaye. Charlie Roughhouse was played by Tristan Doust. Nezor Valghoorlis, the Bard, and our sound recordist was played by Tom Moore. Scan Fellspar is played by Joshua Walker. And Rhylind Westfall is played by Keren Schlink. If you'd like to know more about the podcast, check out our website at therebedragonscast.com, or you can check us out on Podbean at therebedragons.podbean.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, please consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/therebedragons. We also have a Twitter at TBDragonsCast, where you can tweet at us and talk about the show using the hashtag ThereBeDragons. There Be Dragons is edited and produced by Matthew Buss, and sound post-produced by Tom Moore. There Be Dragons' original score and soundtrack is composed and produced by Sean Tanian. You can see more of his work at seantanianmusic.com. There Be Dragons' art is produced by Brianna Manning. You can find more of her work at brepi.com. That's all for this week. Thanks for listening.